Hi there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam, and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're going to do our top 10 games of 2024.
All right, so here we are at the beginning of 2025. Usually we get this video out a little bit earlier than what we've been able to do this go round. But nonetheless, we have our top 10 games for casual and non-gamers of 2024. So I do want to be very clear that this is our top 10 list for non-gamers and casual gamers. Just getting that out there in case you're wondering why you're not seeing some of the heavy hitters that maybe have come out in 2024. That's the reason why. So these are going to be some games that Sam and I have gotten the privilege to play. Some of them we've gotten to review or preview whenever they were running on crowdfunding, which means we got to do a video on it before 2024, more than likely, probably 2023. So just making sure we have all the details out there. Do want to say at the top of this video, want to make clear on one particular game that might be in your top 10 for 2024, and that's Explorers of Navoria. That is a game that we did get the privilege to preview before it came to crowdfunding when it was on crowdfunding last year, but we included it, or I included it, on my top 10 of 2023. So it would absolutely be on my top 10 list of 2024, but since I already included on last year's list, I'm not going to include it again on this year's list, but it's a great game nonetheless. So having said all of that, a couple of other things real quick want to throw out there. We have played lots and lots of games this year, but we did not get to play every game in the world. There were 3 games that I wanted to... Yeah, it felt like we played a lot, but as you probably know, there are tons of games out there, not able to play all of them for sure. There were 3 games that I wanted to make mention that you're not going to see in this video, and that's because we didn't get a chance to play them. The first is The Gang from Cosmos. That is a game we own. We just have not yet gotten to play it. We just recently got a copy of it. MLEM, Space Agency, Rebel Studios, game about cats in outer space. Definitely one I want to try. And Middle Ages from Studio H. Really want to try that one as well. So those 3 games, haven't gotten a chance to play them, as well as many others, but I wanted to, address those 3 games. Now, let's go ahead and get started with our honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
All right, so honorable mentions. These are the games that we felt just missed that top 10 cutoff. We really do still enjoy them, and you should absolutely try them out for yourself, especially if you haven't had a chance to play them. Do want to say that we don't know what's on each other's lists here, so that is going to be true for everything that you see from this point forward. I'll go ahead and throw out my honorable mentions. I'm just going to dump out 6 games real quick. Not spend too much time talking about any single one of them, but Castle Combo from Pandasaurus Games. Really enjoy that one. It's a great little 2-player game. Bomb Busters from Pegasus Spiel is kind of my idea of what the airplane game. I'm drawing a blank on it. SkyTeam. SkyTeam from 2023. I feel like Bomb Busters is like the cooperative game that you really need to check out if you liked SkyTeam. SkyTeam was a 2-player co-op, but Bomb Busters you can play with up to 5, I believe. Captain Flip from Playpunk is a very short, sweet 15-minute game that is really pretty fun. Definitely check that out. Tower Up from Monolith is a really cool game where you're building skyscraper buildings. Looks really cool out on the table. Nunatak Temple of Ice from Cosmos is another game that looks really cool out on the table. You've got this pyramid of ice cubes, basically. Looks like Don't Break the Ice. We did a video on that not too long ago. And Sea Dragons from Draco Studios and Fractal Hugos. That is a game that's been out for most of the world since 2023. It's still technically not available in retail here in the States. We have a copy because we backed a Kickstarter, and that's the only reason why it's existing over here in this part of the world. Still not available widespread, so that's one reason why it didn't make my top 10, but I really, really do like that game. Sea Dragons. What are your honorable mentions, Sam?
I also have Bomb
Busters
and Tower Up
Okay.
on mine, as well as Flutters. or
Flutter.
Rudder, sorry,
Yes,
by A-Ship Games.
Phase shift games. Yeah, it's a really nice tile layer.
Harmonies.
Oh, not in your top 10.
It was, and then it wasn't. That was really hard.
Oh man, you're gonna see harmonies again, but way later in the video.
I feel like we never had this big of a discrepancy
Oh yeah,
between our first.
absolutely.
And then I kind of have like this little category of smaller, quicker, fun group games.
Okay, yeah.
And that is Link City, Flip 7, and that escalated quickly.
Link City from Blue Orange Games is a fun little cooperative game where you're kind of trying to think all on the same wavelength. You said Flip 7 from the Op. Probably one of the best party games down here. It even says it on the
It
box.
was in my top 10, but then I kind of decided to move that to this kind of subcategory.
And what was the other one?
That escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly. Exploding Kittens, hilarious.
I just didn't
fun
feel like
game.
they were, I hate to say heavy, but they weren't. They were more party games. They weren't really fit with my top 10, but would definitely be in my top 10 of
card games.
Card games, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Number 10.
All right, top 10. Number 10. Let's kick this off. Sam, why don't you start for us? What is your top?
I feel like you're going to throw a fit every time I say
You're going to say something really good,
Yeah.
probably.
Aguita.
Oh, my gosh. So, Agueda, City of Umbrellas. It's a great game, and it doesn't get enough love for some reason.
Yeah.
Not enough love from you, evidently. Oh, I
There
can.
was just too many.
Okay.
Like we played a lot of games, so.
So this is a game that's it's got some similarities to Azul in the sense that you are drafting something from a communal board to add to your board, and you want to place it in a pattern of sorts to get the most points, and there's a trickiness involved to that. Beautiful game out on the table. Why did you like it so much?
It was kind of Azul-ish, and I think it just brought back a lot of that. It's been a while since we've had. Azul was so unique when we first played it, so it was nice to have something a little bit like that. But at the same time, it stands on its own, and it was really fun to play and pretty easy to understand. Very visual. Yeah,
definitely a beautiful thing out on the table. You're gonna see more about that one here in a little bit. There's just
I feel like we have a lot of the same ones on our top 10, just completely different.
There's likely to be repeats, but what she's rated low, I've rated high more than likely. What I've rated high, she's rated low, or maybe not even rated at all. So, definitely a great one. And that was from 25th Century Games. You're going to see another 25th Century Games for my number 10, and that is Donut Shop. So Donut Shop is another great table presence game, has this retro look to it. And you've got 3D elements to it as well. The card holder is a napkin dispenser, and everything looks like an old-timey donut shop. And you're doing a couple of different things here. You're trying to match patterns. You're trying to play with the spatial element of where everything's at in the display, covering things up, but you're also trying to can make connections and box them up and to sell donuts for extra points in this game. You have to make some really good decisions between whether you want to get more cards, get more tiles, that sort of thing. And everything feels tight in this game. It feels like you have to make really good decisions from the beginning to end. A much more crunchier game than what I thought it was going to be. Just getting into it had this whimsical look to it, very inviting look to it. I thought it was going to be a lighter game.
We played this.
It was very early on in the year.
You got it when you went to.
We got this one. Man, it was probably around March, I want to say, of last year. So it's been a long time since that game came out, and maybe some people have forgotten it or didn't get to it when it was out, and then all the other games came out. She likes Donut out. Definitely should check out Donut Shop from 25th Century Games.
Number 9.
All right, number 9. My number 9 game of 2024 is Fractured Sky from IV Games. It is actually right behind the camera. It is literally right behind the camera, so I'm pointing at it right now. This is a game that Jeremy and I got to preview on the Hard to Master side of this channel. It's one of IV Games' lighter games. It's, I would say it's definitely a game to play for the casual gamer crowd. There is a little bit maybe going on to make it be more advanced than what you might play for non-gamers, people who have like never played any board games before, but it definitely is a casual gamer's game. And it is a pretty game, as is the case with all of Ivy Studios games. Definitely has a luck factor involved with it, so it's definitely not a game that's for everybody, but since it is a game that is light enough for casual gamers, the luck factor, I think, blends in perfectly with that. And it's a deduction game. So it's definitely a game that I feel like casual gamers can sink their teeth into and then really enjoy as it gets into the later rounds of the game. That's what I've experienced playing it with Sam and some of our other friends. I think it's a great game, Fractured Sky from Ivy Studios.
Ready for my number 9?
Yeah, what's your number 9?
Fractured
Oh,
Sky by
dang,
Ivy
okay.
Studios.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah. Why do you like it so much? Why is it your number 9?
Honestly, I think a big thing with my top 10 is the more we played them, the higher they went on my list. And we have played that a couple of times. And our friends hated it. But
We did have
it's
some
just-
friends who didn't care for it, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I liked the betting aspect of it.
Okay.
And I don't know. There was just something about it. The first time I played it, I was like, oh, it's okay. The second time I played it, I was like, I really like this one.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those games that is when your confidence grows, your skills grow,
Okay.
and you like it even more. So
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the whole bidding element of the
Yeah.
game too, and I feel like that's a lighter mechanic that
easy to understand.
easy to understand. You want to really go for the ones that you're confident that the starfall pieces are going to be there, and especially if you know for
I don't even
certain
think I ever won that game, so it is surprising that.
that you like it, because you only like games you're good at.
Well, I'm not good at all.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of stuff to offer
Yeah.
for novice gamers, people just getting into the hobby and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Number 8.
All right, number 8. What's your number 8?
Maple Valley
Maple Valley. All right.
by KTBG.
Yes, Kids Table Board Games, Maple Valley. This is the spiritual successor to Creature Comforts.
Which I think was on my top 10.
I think it was on both of our
Yeah.
top 10s last year. if
I had
I'm
a
not
lot of the
mistaken.
same feelings.
Yes, Roberta Taylor, still same universe. In a lot of ways, it's got some similarities to Creature Comforts. It's just that you're kind of working more with this spatial element
Yeah.
of trying to navigate the board rather than using dice.
Yeah.
So why did you like it so much?
I don't know. I think it did remind me a lot of Creature Comfort. I like the design of it, and
The pretty look of it, yeah.
it looks like a kid's game, but it has the weight for adults to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's just a good, nice little game.
Yeah, I think the only reason it's not on my list is simply because I did like Creature Comforts a lot. It made my list last year, and I think after having played both of them, I think I gravitated more to Creature Comforts simply because I liked
Creature Comfort was higher on my list.
I liked the dice and the luck it sort of felt like gambling a little bit to me. And I liked that more. But that's not to say that Maple Valley still isn't a great game.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy that one. So my number 8 is a little tiny game called Avant Card from Resonem. Might see it again, I'm guessing. When I played this for the first time, I believe this was at PAX in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was Gen Con of 2023. I don't
It
remember.
was Gen Con because I went to PAX with you and we played it together.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So I loved it from the moment that I played it the first time. And then Sam and I got to try it at PAX together in 2023. Still wasn't out yet. Just got to play a prototype version of it. We both really enjoyed it. And then as soon as it came out available at the beginning of 2024, this is another game that came out really early on. We played the heck out of it. Really enjoyed it, raved about it in our review back at the beginning of 2024. It's just a little card game, and it's a simple little deck builder of wanting to try to get the cards that you feel like are going to help you out the best as you flip your cards out and hopefully build up points.
I mean, I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, you've got a lot to say on it, probably. It's got this unique little setup as the box just kind of rolls out,
Yeah.
and you can really clean it up easy and set it back up again. So yeah, definitely one you should probably check out because you probably haven't even heard of it.
Yeah.
Avant-Garde from Resonum.
Number 7.
All right, number 7. My number 7 game for 2024 is Stone Spine Architects from Thunderworks Games. Now, Stone Spine Architects, the thing about it that I remember the most is seeing it, thinking, this is a game that looks like a dungeon builder, heavy, deep kind of thematic game, and it probably won't appeal to many casual or novice gamers. And I remember thinking that. I remember showing it to Sam, and I almost could like read her expression on her face. I don't want to play this at all. And we got into it, and man, it surprised me more than just about any game on this list, I feel like, because it's absolutely not that. I mean, it is about dungeons. You're building a dungeon, and you're making this pathway, laying these tiles. You've got to do it by row, and you're trying to get different objects, different traps, different monsters, different elements in your dungeon, this maze that you're building. And there's bidding going on for the different tiles and the different elements that you can add to your dungeon. It was a really cool game. It had a lot of different blended mechanics into it. I was really surprised with the way that it all came out together. I really enjoy this game. I just wish that it had more appeal for you. I wish it had more appeal.
It was a big game.
I think it's just it comes across as this different kind of game just based off the way it looks, or at least that's my look of it. Judging a book by its cover, wish it kind of maybe had more of an inviting look to it. I don't know how to put that into better words, but I really enjoy the game. I know a lot of people out there enjoy it too. Probably a lot of people are thinking that game should be higher on my list, and I think the reason why it's not is simply because it wasn't something that you were so over the moon about. And that's just going to be the case for me. If I'm playing it with people who really enjoy it, it's going to have a more positive impact on my score for it. If I'm playing it with people who are just like, yeah, that was all right, then it's going to temper it a little bit.
And if I win a game, it's going to go higher.
Stop that. All right, what's your number 7?
Bosa
from Funko Games. Yeah, okay, all right. Bosa, pretty little game. Tell us why it's your number 7.
It was very pretty.
Yeah.
Very, thematic.
Colorful.
Yeah, it's very colorful. Yeah. It was just fun. I mean, I like any type of, it's not really tile like.
It is, because you're placing it in a certain spot in your grid as you're building up your grid.
Figuring out that grid.
And the grid is the most important thing of the game.
And I did enjoy that. It was kind of a brain burner to figure out, okay, well, how is this going to work? How is this almost not machine building.
Tableau building.
Yeah.
Engine building.
Engine
it is.
Yeah. And so just how that works. I had a lot of fun with that game.
Yeah.
It was a fun game to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That was another game I think that surprised me pretty well with how much game was in the box. Because as is the case with, a lot of Funko games, they're licensed products. And so they're trying to market to people that are probably not playing super heavy games. And so you never know what to expect maybe with a Funko game. But with that particular one, there's a lot of game in that box with the way that you'd place things in your grid and activating the different actions, trying to turn one resource into another to points eventually.
Yeah.
I was really surprised with that one. That probably would be right below my honorable mentions. I really do enjoy Bosa.
Number 6.
Okay, for number 6, I have one we've already heard about, is Donut Shop by 25th Century Games. That was a little bit higher than Lance. I think it's a lighter game. So for him, that tends to go a little bit lower. For me, that tends to get a little bit higher. But I remember playing it. I think a lot of times we play so many games that they're going to end up on my top 10 if they're memorable when I play it the first time. And I really remember the first time. I remember enjoying it. We had a really good time with that game, and it's fun, and tile laying, which is something you'll see a lot on
a lot of tile laying games. Yeah,
I was trying to go for 10 tile laying games.
You said it's lighter, but honestly, I felt like it was not crunchy, but it was crunchier than what I initially thought it was going to
Yeah.
be. Just the decisions, I felt like you had to make really good decisions in that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
no-
this one that I'd be like, yeah, I definitely play that again.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are we on? 6?
Yeah.
My number 6 is another really pretty game, and it's a game that you can get deluxe components for, have it all tricked out and look really nice out on the table. And that is River Valley Glassworks from Allplay. Now, this is a game that it has some similar feelings to some other games. It definitely has a very similar vibe to the very first game we ever featured here on Love to Hate, and that was Niagara.
Which is why it almost ended up on my list. I was like, that's not reason enough to add it.
Definitely has a warm place in my heart because of how close it is to Niagara. And Niagara is a 2004 game, really old game. But
If you
anyhow,
want to see our babies and
yeah,
very young Sam
go check out our very, very first video.
and our editing skills.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we've come a long ways. But anyhow, River Valley Glassworks, this game where these translucent tiles are shifting down a river, and they have different pieces of glass on them, on these other colored translucent plastic pieces, or if you have the deluxe components, they're actual glass pieces, and they come in different shapes, and you're drafting them from the river using them to fill up your board, and you're needing to do this in a specific way where you're wanting to fill up your columns, and you have to put all your colored pieces in the same columns, but you're wanting to fill up your columns that are furthest to the right because that's going to score you the most points. But you got to be careful about the way you do it because not every colored piece is in the bag as often as others. Some are more rare than others. So you want to really try to get the rare ones, closer to your left side of your board, but then you don't want to get too rare because they're never going to come out and you can't fill up multiple rows on your board from multiple points, multipliers, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of strategy and just, going through your decisions as you try to figure out what you should do. And it's just a really beautiful, pretty game with lots of choices to make throughout the course of it. So
I think that would definitely make the top 10 in components.
Oh, yeah.
A game of line. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Number 5.
All right, we're up to our top half of the top 10 of 2024. Number 5. My number 5 is, I feel like I've said this so many times already, another really pretty game, and it's from Pegasus Spiel. It is Intarsia. Now, Intarsia was a game that had lots of wooden components to the game, and these wooden components fit together to make this beautiful display on your board that is basically, you're basically building a wooden tile floor. And they're intricate little pieces that have just designs in them, and they fit in like puzzle pieces. And anyhow, you're needing to do this in a specific manner to be able to meet these different communal goals that you're all competing for bonus points. And so you want to try to get to them quickly, but you can't get to all of them. And when somebody gets to the one you're trying to go for, they take it out from under you, and you have to change your plans on the fly and go for something else, right? Really unique game with the way that all unfolds. A lot of interaction going for those different communal goals. And, you're using your cards to try and stay in the round for as long as possible with this one. This is a game where you play an action to do something and you get a little bit back. And then with what you've gotten back, you need to figure out, well, what's another action I can do with what I got back? That gets me back a little bit less than what the first action got me. And you need to just try to chain this on for as long as you can until you run out of resources, and then you got to pass. Really enjoyed that having to combo turns. That thinking process is a lot of fun. So Intarsia from Pegasus Spiel is my number 5 game. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is not on any of Lance's list.
Oh.
It is Stamp Swap by Stonemaier.
Okay. Stamp Swap, as the name implies, you're collecting stamps and swapping them. Why that game for number 5?
I mean, I think you can look at that. Lance could definitely look at that game and be like, Sam would love it.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I had to get it.
Yes. It's, what's that called? What
kind of mechanic are you talking about? The I split, you choose kind of mechanic?
No, the
Oh, you're
placing them.
placing them in your board. So again, that's like tiling, but maybe similar to polyomino kind
Yeah,
of games.
yeah.
But they're all
fitting things
squares or
together
rectangles.
and
Yeah.
good. Oh man, it's a very lovely for me.
Yeah, so if you watch our top 10 of 2023, there were quite a few polyomino games featured in that video, and Sam really, goes for that kind of game. And I
Puzzle.
I
Let's fit
figured that
things
would
together.
fit
I
there.
love it, but it was also a very pretty game.
Yeah.
It had lots of details and all the stamps, and it was just a really fun game. I really enjoyed playing that.
Yeah, the only thing about it for me that didn't make it so that it fit my list, the rule books, I didn't feel like the rule book was super, super clear on certain things. I think I remember us saying in our review video on it that there were certain cards that just didn't really kind of do much for us in the game, and I could do away with those cards. The ones that just give you special abilities to use throughout the course of the game. But otherwise, it was a great game.
Yeah.
Definitely one worth checking out.
And we'll
Stamp swap.
We'll keep.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 4.
My number 4 game is Canopy Evergreen by Weird City Games.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about Canopy Evergreen.
Lots of fun. We previewed it a long time ago.
It would have been maybe late 2022, early 2023, I feel like.
Hard
Not
game.
100% sure on that.
Version.
Well, so there's Canopy, which is the card game, and then there's Canopy Evergreen, which is this game that you're talking about, which is the board game version of
Yeah.
Canopy.
I loved Canopy
Yeah.
when it came out.
Yeah.
And this is just a more, I want to say it's like a 3D version of Canopy.
Yeah.
Maybe a 2D version.
Well, no, it definitely has 3D trees.
Yeah.
That,
Um,
you're building these trees up.
Yeah, and gosh, we played it last night, and I was so far behind Lance, so far by like tens of points.
Oh, wait, you're behind at least 30 some odd
Yeah.
points. Yeah.
And he beat me by 1 point at the end. So
Held on for one.
it was one of those games that you can really come
Yeah.
back at the end.
Mhm.
And I love the different types of, what do you call it when you're getting different cards?
Oh, the set collection.
Yes, the set collection is perfect in
Yeah.
that game. I think they do an excellent job. The artwork is great. The animals and their abilities are fantastic. I love that game. It was great.
And as we've been saying several times in this video,
See you later.
it is, well, I'm going to say it is, I think it's the most beautiful game of 2024. Vincent Dutrait did the artwork on it, and it's just beautiful, stunning artwork. That's the thing with Weird City Games. I feel like they put a lot into the visual presentation of the game, and so they knocked it out of the park with that one. I'm going to save my thoughts on Canopy Evergreen because you'll see that one here in a little bit. My number 4 is a game that you've already heard Sam talk about, and that is...
Way down.
I can't believe it was so far down on the list. But that's Agueda, City of Umbrellas from 25th Century Games. It's the second 25th Century game on my list for top 10 of 2024. And as I've already said, that they had some similarities to Azul. For me, it was a game that I enjoyed that aspect of picking the diagonal for the different umbrellas that I want to take onto my board. And knowing that if I want the one that's got the 3 umbrellas, that's the most umbrellas I can get, I've got to pay the coin. And so I have to manage my coins. And sometimes maybe I take the one that only has 1 umbrella so that I get a coin so that later on I can get the one that has 3 umbrellas. Playing that little mini game to get my umbrellas to fill up my own personal board was a lot of fun, and having to deal with the revolving bonus tiles where, your bonus tiles, the scoring tiles that get you the most points, they're going to be shifting down your board throughout the course of the game. And it's like another little mini game that you're having to manage with your different lines of umbrellas. That to me was just a really enjoyable experience. I know I've talked to some people who have played it that didn't enjoy that aspect of it. They wanted something that was more static, that was more like Azul. But for me, if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to play Azul. I wanted
Because
something...
there's so many versions of Azul
Right.
too.
And I liked that challenge of having to balance that shifting of the different scoring tiles and needing to play that mini game out, to me, felt a little more challenging, and I could chew on it a little bit better than something like Azul. If I'm just gonna want something like Azul, I'll play Azul. So, but anyhow, Agueda City of Umbrellas, beautiful game, offers more than maybe what some of the other Azul-like games out there offer. So definitely check it out.
Number 3.
All right, we are at our top 3. So for me, I honestly, I said this to Sam before we started filming, and that was that pretty much 4 and lower on my list, they're fluid. They could move around, they could shift depending upon how I'm feeling that particular day and which one is just on my mind. Some could shift a little bit more than others, but my top 3 are pretty firm. And that's just how it has been for me for 2024. I felt like my top 3 are pretty solidly in the top 3 for most of the entire year. So my number 3 game is Harmonies from Libellude.
So funny.
And is that your
No, it was in my honorable
Oh, that's right.
mentions.
You've already mentioned that one. I could not believe that's in your honorable mention.
It's a great game.
It's an amazing game. It's a game that just flows really well for me. Played it a lot on Board Game Arena, and we've done a video on it. Definitely go check out that video. I just really enjoy the aspect of needing to be very decisive on what animals do you pick to put on your board that you're trying to complete those patterns, because your board can only hold so many tiles, and your board fills up really quick. A lot quicker than what you realize, and you've got to be very judicious on which ones you're trying to go for to get your little scoring cubes out on your board.
Feeling limited.
You definitely are going to feel limited in this game, but I like it. It's restrictive, but yet you're still able to accomplish things if you play wise, if you play well, and when you do that, man, it feels rewarding. It feels like I just completed a puzzle, and now I'm rewarded with lots of points, or maybe I got the last cube off that animal, and now I can get another animal to start on. Just the pattern building of what you're doing on your board, and then each tile scores its points also for you, so it's a little bit like a point salad. I'm playing this game of trying to complete the patterns for the animals, but then I'm also trying to put my tiles in a space that gets me to maximize points. I liked having to play both of those things against one another. And then, you're competing against all the other players. So it's not me just doing my own little thing. I'm trying to see what everybody else is doing too, and trying to keep up with them. So, and again, very pretty game. Nice components. Libellude knocked it out of the park with that one. Definitely a game that's been in the top 50 hot list for 2024 pretty much the entire year on BGG. So, Harmonies, check it out.
My number 3 is Avant-Garde.
Okay. All right. So a game that you heard me say earlier.
Really enjoyed that game the very first time we played it. I remember, again, I think it's just a memory thing too. Like, I remember exactly where we are. We were at PAX, and we're playing it kind of behind the scenes a little bit. And at first I was like, I don't know, it seems just like a card game. But then you start getting into it, and really enjoyable game.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because if maybe you did know what that game was, Resonim, they're a smaller publisher. They've done some really cool games though, and this is just a little tiny card game.
Yeah.
So it'd be easy to pass by this one, and if you did play it, you might have thought, well, there's nothing special about it. You've really got to play it the full length of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like if you only played
It's so much more than a card
Oh my
game.
gosh, yeah. Because the deck building aspect
Yes.
of it, getting rid of your crappy cards and trying to get the better ones that you can string together these combos to ultimately get those trophies. That's where the meat of the game is. And it's probably the most simple idea for a game, yet it just works.
Yeah.
It works so well. And I mentioned that rolling out. How do I?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I imagine the game in my head every time, is the shape of it rolls out. Yeah,
And you roll it back up.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It was a great game.
It's like fruit by the foot.
Yeah.
It just rolls out.
Number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is Intarsia by Pegasus Spiel.
Okay.
I think I loved the wooden
Yeah.
pieces and the puzzle aspect of it. Again, not surprising, but such a pretty game. So fun. I really did like the
Table presence.
no,
I don't know.
where you're. I'm so bad. At
Oh, the
determining-
board with the communal
Yes,
goals.
the
where you're
communal
trying to,
goals. Yes,
compete for them.
that I thought that doesn't typically sound like something I would like because
Yeah.
I like to go for my own goals. But
You don't like having your plans thwarted.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I don't think I only like playing it with Lance. I don't want to play it with a lot of people because then I have.
Well, we did say that. We did say that we thought it was a great 2-player game. And if you play at the higher player counts, I don't know that it is a bad game necessarily, but you do have higher competition because more people are going
Yeah, I
for
don't
the
think
same
I don't
stuff.
want that.
So I kind of agree with Sam on that. It's a fantastic 2-player game. Definitely play it at that player rank. You could still play it at 3 and 4, but just know that.
Yeah, but very fun game.
Yeah, I love the weight of those wooden pieces.
Yeah.
The game it's a hefty box.
Yeah.
I mean, it's heavy.
It would be my number 1 for pieces. For
Yeah, components, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I've already said my thoughts on it, but yeah, definitely check that one out. Intarsia. We're not sure. My number 2 game is a game that you've already heard Sam say, and that is Canopy Evergreen from Weird City Games. Now, if you are familiar with Canopy and you really enjoy Canopy, you will probably absolutely love Canopy Evergreen. Because it's basically the board game version of the card game Canopy, and it has the same idea, the same mechanic of there are going to be some piles of cards that you are going to look at the first pile, decide what you want, if you want it, and if you don't, you put it back face down, and then you add one card to it that you don't get to look at what that card is, and you have to move on to the next pile. And you look at that one, you decide if you want it or not, and if you don't want it, then you put it back down and you add a card to it without getting to look at it, and then you move on to the third pile, and that idea. So once you've moved on from a pile, you cannot go back to it. That's so fun. And it was so fun in Canopy. And it's like Canopy Evergreen just kind of took that and said, all right, you like that? Well, let's see if you like this.
Yeah.
And you probably will because it's got the spatial element of building up trees on your board and trying to connect those trees to get tokens that are going to add to the sets that you're building more than likely. And you're completing these sets with the cards that you take to get points for you, and all the cards go away at the end of a round, and so you kind of have to repeat that process every round. But you do have these animals that you can purchase with food and attract them to your forest, and the animals have special abilities that you get to use one time per season, or maybe they give you points based off of the sets that you've collected, and the animals chain together themselves to get you maximum points. That's one of the ways that Sam got back so far
Yeah.
in that game, because she got a full complete chain, which I think scores you like 17 points.
16, yeah.
And so that's
I
a
did it on
huge
accident too because
thing.
I was not paying
Yeah, she didn't even
attention.
know she did it. And I'm like, you got the whole chain. I do? Yeah, you do. But anyway, yeah, lots of ways to get points throughout the course of the game, lots of points at the end of the game. So it does produce these exciting finishes at the end. I love the components. I know I mentioned the artwork for it, but the components are so nice too because you have these dual recessed boards, or at least we have the deluxe version that we backed on Kickstarter, so I'm not 100% sure if that's in the retail version, but you have these dual recessed boards with the little score tokens in your own personal board that you're keeping track of with your points and your food. And it looks so pretty out on the table.
I think Canopy is our travel game and Canopy Evergreen is our home.
Our home version of the game. And just like in Canopy, a big portion of that game was trying to build up these trees to be as tall, and you did it, horizontally with cards. Well, you're doing the same thing in Canopy Evergreen, just vertically with actual 3D trees, building up these trees, trying to have the biggest trees. So. Really cool game. Lots more that I could say on it, but I won't. That is Canopy Evergreen from Weird City Games.
And finally, number 1.
Okay, so Lance, I already saw what your number one is, and this may be the first time that both of our number ones are nowhere
Are not on each other's list?
at all. At all.
Wow.
So, and also, I think the games say a lot about who we are.
Okay.
as gamers.
I have no idea what her number one is. I thought for sure any game that would be on her list would have been one I would have already said at some point. So I have no idea what her number one
Well,
is.
you go first.
She's known what my number one is for pretty much
Yeah,
the entire
yeah.
year because I'm in love with this
And
game.
I was like,
Yeah, and yeah. I don't know how that's possible. But anyway, my number one game, which I will admit is probably, and this is probably why it's not on your list, it's probably the heaviest game on my list.
yeah.
And so it may not be technically a casual gamer's game. I don't know. I'll leave you to be the judge. But my number one game for 2024 is Fromage from Road to Infamy. Now, gosh, I think, again, I've said this about every game. Very pretty game. I love the artwork in this game. Well, the way that they made cheese look like the countryside or look like something else on that front cover of the box, which is right here. So yeah, this is a great little demonstration. I just love the front cover of this box. Agueda's right there, yeah. Just anyway, I won't say any more about the front of the box, but let's talk about the actual game. I got to try this out at Gen Con 2023. I think that's right. With the designers and the Road to Infamy guys, and got to play a game of it and was just enamored with it from that point. Put a video out on my initial thoughts on it prior to the Kickstarter launching on that one. And now we have a copy of it. And I love the aspect of the rotating board, and you're playing these 4 different mini games, and you're basically kind of working with this mechanic of having 3 workers that can only go to certain spots on each of the mini games, and depending on where you've placed them determines how many turns before that worker comes back to you again to be able to use again. And if you use one of the really super big actions, you're not getting that worker back until 3 turns later. If you use it for just one of the weaker actions, you'll get it right back the very next turn. So it's that kind of idea that the better the action, the longer that worker's not available to you. And the way that they've designed that with the turning of the board is just ingenious. And then it's a resource management game, area control, trying to chain together different adjacency. Like all the different mini games are all different things that you're probably familiar with in lots of other games. They're just all together in one game. And you're making cheese in this game, essentially. Everything is cheese in that game.
Because you're lactose intolerant.
And I'm lactose intolerant. I can't eat cheese a whole lot. But anyway, yeah, no, Fromage, my number one game of the year. I can't say enough about it. Yeah, I really, really enjoy the game. I just wish she knew just how great it was.
It's a good game.
Oh, it's a fantastic game.
You ready for mine?
Yeah, what's your number one?
My number one is Happy Home by Alley Pat Games.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. You may not know Happy Home. It is a polyomino game, which should not shock anybody.
But it's organizing furniture in a house. It makes me so happy playing the game. It is everything that I could want in a game.
Okay.
It's very similar to, or it reminds me of Junk Drawer and, is it Moving Out? What's that?
Decorum.
Decorum.
Yeah.
It's like Decorum and Junk Drawer.
Moving Out was the expansion for Decorum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of together.
Yeah.
And I love both of those games. I love the idea of furniture. It's like, a little girl in a dollhouse.
Right.
But then you're adding the polyominoes and the tiles, and
Yeah.
it's lovely.
So yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed Happy Home. I thought it was a good little game.
You completely understand why it's my.
Oh, absolutely. And it has the rondelle element too, where you're moving around this rondelle,
which reminds me of Patchwork, which is also one of my top games.
Yep, another rondelle. And yeah, there's actually a lot of similarities now that I think about it between Patchwork and Happy Home. It's just that Happy Home has this idea that you can only put certain types of polyominoes in different rooms that match
But
up
I have
with a
so
theme.
many options. Like there's so many.
Yes, yeah. There was a kitchen, bedroom, bathroom,
And so furniture that could go into each
yes,
and
yes.
fit differently.
Yeah, there's a ton of
Different
polyominoes
shaped
in that
couches,
game.
different shaped plants, different shaped rugs, and figuring out how to fit them, covering up certain deformities like cracks in the floor. And
Yeah, scratches on the
yeah,
hardwood.
it's just, I love that game.
And it's a better game than probably what I give it credit for. I think my impression was it's a lighter game, and you're working this rondelle, and then you get something, and you just need to place it, and it's a polyomino fit things together. But yeah, there's definitely more going on with it than
I feel like Stamp Swap is lighter than
Oh, I wouldn't say
I
that.
don't think so.
No,
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
no. Well, I don't know. Stamp Swap just has those cards that kind of
Oh, that's true.
creates
That's
complexity, unnecessary complexity, in my opinion. But no, Happy Home is a lighter game, but it definitely is a game that you need to be thinking about where you're going to be putting stuff, because there's so many ways to get the points in that game, because you want to try to get each room has 3 different types of furniture that can go in that room. So there's sets that you're trying to build for each room in your house.
and then there's goals that each person is trying to fulfill.
Right.
So there really is a lot of different things. Like, are you covering the things on the floor? Are you fitting the right furniture? Is the furniture the right color for that room? Are you also meeting your criteria for your specific goals? So I think there is more going on than you're giving it credit for.
Probably so. I knew from the moment that they announced that game, I was like, yeah, Sam's gonna really like that one, so we have
Love
to try
it.
it. And I was not wrong.
Yeah, love it.
Well, there you have it, guys. That's our top 10 for 2024. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure that there are some of you out there that after watching this, you're like, why didn't you mention such and such game? Well, chances are we probably didn't get a chance to play it, or maybe we just didn't like it. You're wrong. So,
But it takes us a long time to put this
Yeah.
together, going through all the games we played this year. And we played a
Absolutely.
lot of good ones.
Yeah.
So it is hard to narrow it down to 10.
yeah, it really is. It's hard. And having as many that I had on my honorable mention list, I still had to cut some out. But anyway, leave us some comments. Let us know what games we missed, what games we've forgotten, what your top games are of 2024, but especially for casual and non-gamers, because that's what we do here on Love to Hate.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.